city planting program, we feel that would be a fair assessment of what's going on. It's unfortunate, you know, that they did not, that, you know, we didn't see them doing it. The professional, if they hired a professional to do the job, they should have known where the trees were located, that they were owned by the city. As you can see by the investment that we've made in our tree inventory and planting of trees, you just heard us about the capital improvement budget, trying to add trees and benefits of trees and things, and we've had such a forestry reduction in our urban forest with the emerald ash borer. We've lost about 28% of our urban forest in the boulevard. That it's really been a big hit. So I guess with that, that's kind of where staff is looking at this.
Okay, yeah. This is one of those strange things that happens. You know, the boulevard is owned by the city, but you have to take care of it. You know, we have to take care of our boulevards, but the city owns it. The trees, the city technically owns, even though you purchased the trees and put them there. Correct?
That is correct.
That's correct. So it's one of these really odd things. I would be hard pressed to say, you owe us all kinds of money here. I would think that if we put trees, boulevard trees in, that we normally do anyway, when boulevards are empty, I would be in favor of calling it square at that point, or.
As Chris stated, we were planning on putting trees, and it wasn't, we weren't just taking them and leaving them, so we're
Right.
not going to pay the city or pay
Right,
quote that we had.
right, and that's just my feeling, is I think this is one of those strange situations that happens.
Jared, looking at, they had mentioned in their statement that 5 trees may be too many for that space. According to the way you do business, what is the correct amount of trees for that?
Part of what as I stated, the city requires when new homes are built, a tree every 25 feet. It might have been put in at 25 foot of frontage. You know, you got the driveway there, so the driveway probably wasn't taken out of that frontage. So we would have to look at that frontage, and we'd have the forester tell us. We don't have a professional forester on staff. We do it with various public works staff and planning department staff. So we'd ask the forester if it would be better to maybe plant, maybe we'd only plant 4 trees back in there, maybe even 3. We'd have to look and see what the footages were there. We would typically plant off our planting list, and I'd have to see what your tree that you would recommend, or what you had had on your list to see. I don't think that tree, I don't think it's on our list, so.
Well, it's a special variety of,
Bottom line is the spread out is meant to be 50 feet apart.
Okay.
If they start hitting each other, then the trees die eventually anyway.
Yeah.
I think you could easily have 5 trees there if they weren't too big.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They were too big of a tree for a boulevard, which we just went off the list of what we had from the neighborhood. So I think we could easily plant a slower growing tree, not a low growing tree, but a slower growing tree, and one that didn't have the canopy. That was the bit that did. It wasn't the canopy, it was the roots that were the problem. They had
Yep.
taken out the entire boulevard, and
Okay.
there was no place for them to go.
I think when I look at this, I think we could work with the homeowner. The city would plant the trees. We would work with the homeowner on it. But I think the restitution should be for 5 trees, because that's what was there. Part of our, and I do agree with the mayor and his comments that this is unfortunate, and I hate to be punitive, but at the same token, I don't want to have our investment in city trees going around the city, having someone just cutting down a tree in the boulevard if there's no, you know, if they don't have to replace it. So that's my fear.
Correct.
I just had one more follow-up question. Did the stuff get ground out, okay, so that part is done, so we're ready, we're clean slate here going forward.
exactly. But I would like to make one more comment, is that, you know, it sounds like you sent a postcard about trimming, but, you know, each year when the property taxes are sent out, or, you know, there's that sheet of paper that has as far as dog licenses and things, perhaps a section could be on there that reminds people of this fact that none of our neighbors seem to have any clue. Everyone was shocked by this, obviously mostly by us. The other place that I think that could be listed is right on the website when you go to the tree. So after the fact, when we found out about this, we started looking into it. We went to the website, you got Tree City, you have all that. Not one place does it say anything about who's responsible, who's owners, who owns them,
Okay.
until you really start digging.
Okay,
You're on the front page.
yep, thanks. We'll make some adjustments. Thank you very much. Ron, you had to,
I'd like to make a motion that we get the forester involved, the city forester gets the appropriate trees replanted in there, and split the cost with the resident. That's all this matter.
Not that I want us to spend more money, but I guess since we were planning on replacing the
Right,
trees.
that's, I listened to you.
But also, if you could pick all the trees, we also understand that, because that was what we had budgeted. We had budgeted to take them down and replant them. Doing what happens, wonderful.
okay,
It's up to you.
That's in form of a motion.
okay. Is there a second?
Didn't get the motion.
Is there a second? This motion dies for lack of second. Mr. City Administrator.
I did hear in part of the conversation that they had some trees picked out. I'm not aware if those trees are on the city-approved list, so perhaps a motion would be appropriate that the homeowner replace them in the planting year, the appropriate time in 2019, so long as the tree's on the approved list, barring that the city then, at the cost of $400 per tree. And perhaps just, showing that the tree replacements are at least $400 trees. I think, Jared, that's what you're referring to? That we're looking at $400 per tree for 5 trees?
Correct,
Right.
correct.
So, either the city puts it on the city's planting at $400 per tree for 5 trees, or if they happen to be picking up trees that are on the approved list, which I don't know, which are on the list. So provided that they're at the same value, I don't see any reason that they couldn't plant them on their own during the appropriate time.
Okay, Kim?
I think my understanding was that we would have the homeowners pay $2,000, which would be 5 trees at $400 apiece. But then the city would plant the new trees, but you could pick what kind of tree it was off the approved list. Is that right, Jared?
Correct. The approved list is pretty narrow. It's only got, I believe, 8 varieties on the list. You probably already printed it out off the website. I guess it'd be up to the board if you wanted to have them come off the list, or if we could leave some room that they'd be approved by the city forestry consultant. Could be another,
So do we have a motion?
I think the trouble is with the implementation, because my understanding is that we're going to have the homeowner pay $2,000, but then with the implementation, is the city going to buy the tree and plant the tree? I just want us to all be on the same page what's going to happen.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Correct. We should have something in the motion if we want to allow them the latitude to plant something other than what's on the city tree list. Because typically, if it's in the boulevard and we get a call, we ensure that people plant off the city boulevard tree list.
The trees we have looked at are, varieties, it's a hybrid of the Autumn Blaze Cal Repair. It's basically a better version of that. So perhaps we could just work with your department to find one that's,
Wants to make the motion.
Go ahead and make a motion then that I guess is it a fine? The fine for the removal of trees in the right-of-way at 733 Stonebridge Avenue be reduced to $2,000, and that the homeowners work in conjunction with planning department to get the trees replaced per city rules.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second that the fine be reduced, in essence, to buying 5 new trees from an approved list or approved by city staff. Is that all we need in there?
That was discussion, but that was not the motion. Motion was $2,000 cash, and city replaces it.
Yeah, making a donation of $2,000. I prefer the donation rather than.
Okay, fine is reduced to $2,000 and the city replaces the trees.
Right, but we'll work with them to, as long
Yes.
as it's approved tree, whether it gets special approval or whatever kind of approval. You guys can work it out, I think.
Okay, Ron?
Those are 4-inch diameter trees that we're talking about. So if we go to a
No.
2-inch like we normally do, would that still be $2,000?
The 2.5-inch, right now currently we bid out 2.5-inch diameter trees, and they're anywhere from $350 to $425 a piece, depending which variety we, yep.
Okay. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now we're back up to item 6. Review and consideration of professional services for Irwin Street design. Jared?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're trying to move forward with the Irvin Street reconstruction design. Was included within the 2018 capital improvements budget and is also included for further funding in the 2019 capital improvements budget. Currently, the city is working with HKGI on a downtown master plan for the downtown area. We did get a quote from HKGI, since they are working with the city on that downtown area, on streetscaping for the area along Irvin Street and the alleyway that sits between Irvin Street and Main Street. Those are both budgeted in the 2018 budget for, capital improvements budget for replacement and repair. Staff is proposing to engage HKGI for $3,460 for drawings and design elements to be included within that design, and that would be coming out of those monies funded through the 2018 capital improvement budget. Part of the reason for this is matching Dash Park, matching the streetscaping along Highway 35, and including those elements further up Irvin Street to continue the energy we've found along with Dash Park, with all those improvements downtown, to beautify that area and make it continue part of our downtown urban core.
Motion to approve contractual professional services for the Irwin Street design at a cost not to exceed $3,460 using the 2018 capital improvement budgeted money.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Alder Smith, seconded by Public Works Director Olter, to approve 2,400, or an amount not to exceed $2,460 for design and drawings of the Irvin Street project, and that will come out of the 2018 capital improvement budget.
$3,460.
Three?
$3,460.
Boy, my ears are really bad.
No. No.
Oh, I didn't look here. Both. Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 7, review and consideration of snow and ice control policy. Jared?
It's that time of year. Winter is coming. Included in your packet was the version of the snow and ice control policy that was approved last November of 2017. I have included, or handed out tonight, a revised copy of that snow and ice control policy dated November of 2018. With that, the policy that was handed out to you, or included within your packet tonight, does include new maps. So we have identified within the maps within your packet tonight 4 snowplow routes that we have. So we have the north route, we have the middle Greens Coulee route, we have the south route, and we have the Mid-Dairy State Trunk Highway 16 route. And within those maps, it lists the primary route streets and the secondary streets, which are the residential side streets, cul-de-sacs, things such as that. That works right into the de-icing route map. That is the larger 11 by 17 map that's in your packet this evening. That map correlates to the primary routes that are within those 4 snowplow routes. So what happens is when we call out the crew to salt streets, to de-ice, to work on primary routes while storms are going on, to do, if we have a light snow, we need to get out, but it's not something where we're going to go do all the streets. In that de-icing route map, you can see the red and blue designations on that map. Those are the streets that we would be out on and performing our winter operations on, with the red being the primary routes and the blue being the secondary routes. Going back to the handout tonight, you know, some of the things we wanted to point out, you know, this is a very important document. We expend a lot of resources, a lot of time. It's very to the traveling public what we're doing when we do this operation. One thing that we've added over the last couple of years, we've added Sand Lake Road and Highway 35 up to Troy Street, so that's part of what we've added over the years. When we're looking at this snow and ice control policy, one of the things that we're trying to do with our operations is we're trying to look at how we perform our operations and what can be done to improve efficiencies and also environmental concerns with salt usage. So I'm just going to kind of go through what I handed out tonight and go through some of the paragraphs that are in here. I apologize, but I'm going to actually take 5 minutes of your time and read through some of this. So under the introduction, one of the things is it's the third paragraph down. The short-term advance preparation is often difficult because of the variety of conditions that can occur. We see different varieties every snowstorm, different pavement temperatures, different amounts of precipitation, different wind speeds, things such as that. The next paragraph down, generally the snow accumulation, the greater the problem, the more complicated the operation. Obviously, 6 inches of snow is more than 2 inches. If we get 18 inches, it gets very complicated on what we're going to do when. Also included in there is ice. Obviously, we've been seeing more icing events than we have snow events going up, which tends to use more material when we get those events. One of the things I wanted to also highlight is that paragraph that I recently added with this revision. With recent environmental concerns regarding the usage of salt as a de-icing material, the Public Works Department is taking steps to lower the usage of salt during winter operations. This will be incorporated over a period of time by incorporating improved equipment for salt placement, use of liquids for de-icing and anti-icing, using improvements in technology, and changing the levels of service. So we're trying to find a variety of ways of using less salt. As you know, over the last 3 years, our salt budget has went over budget. I have come to the Common Council and informed them that we have been running over and whether we wanted to maintain those levels of salt purchases, and there's been support for doing that. Part of that also comes down to our level of service and what we want to offer. And I guess with that, I keep working down through here. Item number 2 is a general policy statement, and basically that first paragraph just says that we're going to try and maintain adequate traction for people. And one of the things I want to point out is that bottom sentence, furthermore, this does not mean the streets will be free of ice and snow. Part of what we've been doing as a department over the last number of years is we try and get down to bare pavement. We really do. The staff works at that, tries to get to that goal. And that's what one of the things we're looking at direction for tonight. So turn the page, you go to classes of streets, which is item number 3. You've got the main streets, which we call primary routes. One of the lines I added there was these streets will receive service prior to other levels. It'll have a higher level of expected service, meaning that we're going to use more material on them, spend more time on them. So going back to that larger map with the red and blue lines, those are 20% of our city streets, 25% will give a higher level of service. So Main Street, East Main, Sand Lake Road, 35, Theater Road, you're going to see bare pavement conditions most times on those streets when we can obtain that. Residential streets, I've also added, these streets may not have bare pavement during the winter season. That's something that we're looking at. We're trying to lower our salt usage on streets. We might look at sometimes going intersections only. We're still trying to work out the logistics of working through this and making sure we are having proper traction, making sure that people are not getting in accidents. Currently we'll run some salt down the middle of the street and try and melt the street off. So that's what we're trying to look at. We're gonna be, not that it's gonna be every storm, not that it's gonna be every time, but we are going to look at certain storms and maybe have our level of service dialed back this winter. But just because what we're finding with the chlorides in our testing of our groundwater, things such as that, once we have those chlorides in the groundwater, they do not come out. Minneapolis area is having a very difficult time with more surface water that salt is getting into. So that's basically kind of what we're going on. Also, I wanted to go back to number 7 in the policy, anti-icing. This is one of the things we're really stressing, trying to go through, is getting salt brine liquid on the pavement before the storm. That's part of the reason we're trying to budget more equipment. That's part of the reason we're trying to use more of it. If we can keep that bond from forming on the snow on the pavement, it's easier to get off. We don't have to use as much material, crystal salt material to get on the road. We have all added, at the city, we've added tanks for storing our own de-icing material. And we have looked at getting some other chemicals to add to that to lower the working temperatures of that de-icing material. We are looking at doing some innovative kind of things that we are looking at. If you go to the handout I handed you tonight, also there's a handout of Riders Club Road and East Avenue. There's a map. And if you look at that map, we have 2 different neighborhoods kind of kitty corner from one another. The Chestnut Estates neighborhood, which is in yellow, and then we've got the, what's the name of your subdivision, Fred? The Evanston subdivision there off of Riders Club. Those are about equal amounts of street. And what we're going to do, not every storm possibly, but we're going to look at trying to look at a variety of things when we're working on our operations. We're going to experiment where sometimes we might do nothing in one part of the neighborhood and do salt in the other neighborhood. We might try and put salt brine down first in that neighborhood, not the other neighborhood, trying to see what works best for us in our areas. So it's going to be, we're going to try to do that as an experiment to optimize our operations for what we find with the way we do operations and try and lower our salt usage. Not only from, like I said, from the budgetary standpoint, but also from the environmental aspect. I think the crux of when you get down to this, we're still going to plow snow, we're still going to lay down crystal salt. We're going to be working diligently at our operations, but you may see some alterations as the year goes on, and just wanted to make everybody aware of that. So I guess with that, I'd open up for questions with snow and ice policy. Jim Prindle's also here, Public Works Manager. If you have any questions for him or want to add anything, Jim? Good?
Okay.
More for an information item and just to get it out so everyone has it and knows what we're going to be working toward as a goal for the next.
So you don't need any action on this tonight.
I have no problem making a motion and place it on file.
That would be-
Policy.
Okay? We have a motion to place the snow and ice control policy on file. Motion made by Mr. Bueller, seconded by Alder Jurtson. Jared?
Just to say that that's the policy updated that I handed out tonight, if that's the one that we want to,
Okay, so the updated snow,
November 2018, correct?
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Only question, Jared, I see you signed this in 2017.
This is the tractor version that has the, are you referring to the date on the bottom front page?
Yeah.
That's 18 now. It's been tracked out.
Okay, Review and consideration of 2018 final assessment, special assessment costs. Jared.
Requesting approval of the final special assessment for the curb and gutter in Holiday Heights neighborhood. I'd make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Jared, seconded by Alder Jurtson, to approve the final special assessment costs.
Under discussion, I just want to read into the record, it's for the 30-inch type D concrete curb and gutter at a cost of $10.67 square foot.
Lineal foot.
I thought it would be a linear foot, but it
Yeah.
says SF here.
Per foot.
Should be lineal foot. Lineal foot.
Okay.
So it's per lineal foot.
Correct.
That's read into the record. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. So moved. Pay estimates. Jared?
I have handed out an updated pay estimate that was revised 11/5 of 18. We did add number 20 and 21 to the pay estimate, and we did increase item number 7 for MSA and item number 1 for HydroClean. We had received bills at the end of the month that were part of the monthly estimates that we increased those two and added the 2 at the end. Staff's recommendation is pay the estimates as outlined on the revised 11/5/18. I'll make that in form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Jared, seconded by Alder Smith to approve the pay estimates. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Alder Jurtson, seconded by Alder Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. We stand adjourned at 8:34. Thank you, everybody.